Thank you very much for joining us. This is Salat Noor speaking with you. We would like to introduce to you today the Intacct Integration tool by DBSync. With you today is myself, Salat Noor. I'm an Intacct consultant with DBSync, and Rajiv Gupta, DBSync CTO and the Chief Integrator for this tool. We will field all of your questions at the end of the session, so if you do have any questions, feel free to ask, and we will have them answered before we conclude for the day. So if you would like a one-on-one follow-up, please do let us know, and we will make sure that we follow up with you to understand what your needs are and to see how we can be of help in meeting those needs. DBSync is an integration company that's been in the SaaS market for many years. Our background is in integrating different applications, including SaaS products like Salesforce, Intacct, and others, with on-premise and on-demand software, including major databases. We have been awarded the Trendsetter by Accounting Today for the 2010 award year. We also have been recognized as the top 100 healthcare value-added reseller by CRN Magazine. DBSync is a spin-off from Avankia, which was started in 2002 and have been in operation since. We're based, our headquarters is in Nashville, Tennessee, country user capital, and we also have operations in Bangalore, India. We have evolved from Salesforce products, and we do have multiple products listed on the Salesforce App Exchange. We have had our on-demand version of DBSync since December of 2009. And as I've mentioned, we do have multiple products listed in the Salesforce App Exchange. In addition to that, we do also have products listed with Intuit and also the Microsoft Marketplace. Some of the awards we have one is the Kilovar for 09, and we've also been recognized by Web CPA and Inc. 5000. So the most important thing is how can we be of help to your needs? DBSync is a provider of integration solutions that connect SaaS application to share, search, and streamline. Currently, we have multiple endpoints, including Intacct, Salesforce, and Microsoft products, and of course the major databases including MySQL, Microsoft SQL, Oracle, and others. There are additional endpoints as you do see on the screen. So if there are endpoints that meet any of these needs, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to work with you. The value that we bring to you is foremost, of course, the ability to reduce double data entry, so that we can let you concentrate in creating value to your customer base. We can also assist you in increasing information sharing, whether it is for business intelligence, it is for making sure the correct information is available to the right decision makers or the folks that need to act on that information. We have a very simple pricing structure by endpoint. So this will allow you to grow as your need grows and have one integration center that lets all of your different data elements connect with each other. We have also a unique ETL feature that allows you to do a visual-based mapping, which makes it easy for you to work on your integration projects. We support e-commerce, CRM, and databases for Intacct. So if you do have integration needs for e-commerce, CRM, and databases, we do support those functionalities. And of course, we can provide in-person support if you do have that need. We have expertise in accounting implementation, both onshore and offshore. And finally, we are certified by Intacct, Salesforce, and Microsoft. So at this point, I would like to introduce to you Rajiv Gupta, our CTO. He will be giving us a demo of the product and will help us answer the questions at the end of the session. So Rajiv, please.
Thank you, Salat. Thank you for getting it started. Let me quickly show my screen. Make sure everyone can see it. Clark, can you see it all right?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. So thank you all again for joining today's webcast. We are pretty excited to launch extension of our services around Intacct, and one of the most asked for was having an integration tool with Intacct. And since we have been working with them for years now, it was time for us to have this adapter in place. There have been many use cases ever since we have launched our services around Intacct, and a lot of the features that we have built in, and those of you who are technical enough would start to appreciate it quite a bit on solving how to get data in and out from databases, CSV files, into Intacct or cloud-based applications like Salesforce or Microsoft CRM in and out of Intacct. So there are a lot of use cases, database export, import, CRM integration, data migration. A lot of times we get questions around e-commerce. With a project management tool set within Intacct, we have TAM and billing integration questions. More than often, we get always data warehousing and BI projects. So if you have Intacct, if you have Salesforce, if you have other cloud application along with on-premise applications, how can I get all the data into one place and be able to report around it? So in today's demo, we will show DBSync, how to get started with it, and also how to import and export data and some of the very neat features that we have added in. So let me get to a website first. To get started, first thing you all have to do is register for free trial. It's absolutely no cost, and during your evaluation process, we do provide in-person support. So once you go to www.mydbsync.com, you can click on register for free trial. So fill in your information, and you'll be emailed back with a username, password, and access to our system with 30 days license. Just make sure that you select one of these as Intacct in the drop-down list. To have a quick understanding of how the application is set up, if you click on the product section, this picture kind of communicates how the different stacks are built into our integration platform. We can run both on-demand as well as on-premise. And the way the engine works is it uses a set of business libraries or processes, either from our library or you can create custom, which would take information from any one of these adapters and then push and pull so that it can move data across. It's pretty easy to use if you have used any ETL tool. It's very similar in nature, and the whole idea is to have you get up and running pretty quickly. To understand more about what we do with Intacct, you can go to the Intacct section and see what are the functionalities available. So we do support most of the features in the Intacct API as well as objects. With that, once you get your username password, you can log in to our application. Once you log in, you'll see a dashboard in terms of what are the different steps to get the processes running. One is certainly you have to purchase the adapter once 30 days are expired. By default, you do get 30 days. You can select a process. Intacct, we don't have any pre-built processes, but we are working on building like a data warehouse template where you can export Intacct into a database for your use. And then you can launch it, schedule it, and run your application. So let's go ahead and see what the application looks from inside. Once you log in, this is our integration console, and you come into a profile section. The way you can think about a profile is any functional area integration or application to application or business process integration. So if you want to do order to invoice process, that could be a profile which can read from one application and write to a database, for example, or vice versa. You can pretty much control. So in this case, I have Salesforce to SQL Server or Salesforce to Great Plains. More so, we'll be looking at Intacct and how it's set up. Once you have set it up, we have a built-in scheduler piece where you can schedule the processes that we have built at whatever frequency. So it comes prepackaged with everything that you need to run your integration. We have another section which is process templates. As I mentioned, we don't have one ready, but as soon as we have it ready, we'll let you know. And you'll find it in here, and all you have to do is select that and click on Add Now. All the templates that we built, we don't charge for it. It comes along with the application. Once you add, this whole template gets installed in your profile. So let's look at what happens within the profile. Once you get into a profile, you pretty much define your endpoints. In this case, Intacct and databases. These are two that we would connect to. Editing it would take you to the configuration, and pretty much you have to use the same login information that you need in Intacct. You can take the defaults on the others and click on Validate. Validate makes sure that connectivity is good between your network or a cloud app into Intacct, and there's no problem. The same thing you would do with your database. In this case, we are using a MySQL instance, and you just pretty much point it to it, and again, click on Validate. So once you have done that, you can create multiple processes here, and we'll open up one of the processes. And you can see a process consists of multiple steps, start and your end. And in between, you can move from database, your master database for customers, into Intacct customers or contacts. More so, your database, e-commerce database into invoice and Intacct, or Intacct invoice downloading into a database. So you can model and have as many steps as you need. You can activate, deactivate them as needed. So in this case, we can deactivate all or activate one and save it. So you don't have to rewire and break the linkages to do so. You can pretty much activate and activate by the steps. So what we would do a demo, and I would like to explain to you what is going to happen behind the scene. And this is a very classical problem that you'll always see, and folks who have done integration in the group joining in today would really appreciate what we have done. In most of the cases, data coming from in-house ERP or e-commerce is a flat structure, either a database table or a CSV. So if you have an invoice 111, you'll see multiple line items based on the how many line items are in the invoice. But in Intacct world, which is very XML business document centric, we have to group these and move it across. We have an extremely simple way to do this, and pretty much in minutes you can achieve this. Normally in the traditional integration world, this takes hours and days, weeks and months to get it all built in. In our case, it's pretty easy to do it, as you'll see. The next case we'll show is how to extract data from Intacct into your database tables. Here, what we have done is, again, something very unique and interesting, is we have built a SQL-like language on top of Intacct. So if you know databases, you would pretty much easily do select star from Intacct table with filters. This translates into Intacct XML, and you'll get back a response. And then you'll perform the XML mapping, and then we stream it back into your database. Extremely simple. You don't have to mess around with what the XML structures are in Intacct API or otherwise. Let's go back and have a look at the setups. So we'll look at the first setup, which is the database, where we read from a database and write into Intacct. So here's a query that we formulated. And when you run it into a database, this is what you pretty much get. This is the query that we'll run. We'll just select one invoice that we would push in. And you can see it's the same invoice number for 4 line items. The way to create the grouping is extremely simple. So here you have an XML formatter, which you can pretty much have a comma separated all the way. And the things that you have to group, you just put a bracket around it, and the whole engine would know this is how I need to group based on the previous, the invoice numbering. That's pretty much it. You have solved a huge problem of integration coming from flat structure into an XML structure. When writing to Intacct, you just say, I need to run the create invoice transaction, and I want to do an insert, and I want to do it one at a time. That's it, and then you do the mapping. Again, the mapping process is very simple. You pretty much pick and choose how you want the data to flow through from an XML structure standpoint. In Intacct, we have flat structure in here. And in here, you would just say, here's how I want to loop through so that I can convert flat structure into a XML based on the looping. And you pretty much map based on simple map or Excel-like functions to combine massage data, do other transformation. You can even write some very complicated logic in this translation engine, and we support Java as the translation language. So you should be able to create pretty much any map that you need with this tool to translate in and out, along with managing things like loops within the product. So let's go back. And look at the other way where we have Intacct data being pushed into database. So as I said, here's a query that we formulate to run it against Intacct. As you can see, very SQL-like language, and it gets translated to get list call. You can extract data from one system and write it to another system. And in the process, we would run a map. So here you can see we have some complicated transformation, and you can easily build it out all within the product. So once you have done, let's look at what happened. Run a test run. So I am in Intacct, and let's copy this. We'll look at, oops. Log into the application. Look at the invoice list. In this case, the data that we'll be pushing through is for the customer Melanie Falls. So let's find if we have anything for Melanie. So we have one transaction. Let's go ahead and delete it so that you can see it pop up. So let's go delete this so we don't have any. Let's go back. In this case, we will run, you can manually run it or put it on a scheduler. In this case, we'll manually run the application or the sync process. And just to show you, it goes, communicates, does the transformation behind, and at the end it completes it. And then go back, we refresh it. And voila, here it is back. And you can look at this. You have all the fields mapped, and this is multi-currency, so the data flew in pretty good, and we have the 4 line items. So this is how easily you can quickly take a query in your database and push it into Intacct. Let's look the other way around. So let's go back to the database, and we'll drop, let's make sure this is an empty table. We'll delete everything from this table so that we can see it show up. And this is a schema that we created to map back to a flat structure from a separate table. Let's go back. In this case, we'll disable this and we'll enable this. We'll save it. Again, we'll rerun this. Again, it would read data from Intacct and push it down, and it happens pretty quick. We have completed this, and let's go back, run this again, and you'll see those 4 line items coming back as a flat structure in databases. So that's how easy it is to use the product. Some of the other features in the product is debugging your integration. We have a built-in log viewer, and you can see all the transactions that move back and forth, and if there are any severe errors that happen. In this case, there's one severe error that happened some time back. We have it integrated with our online wiki, so you can quickly troubleshoot it and work on fixing it pretty quickly. Talking about the online wiki, we have tutorials and many other documents on our online wiki that you can start looking at as you work through understanding the product and the platform. So there's a Get Started, which shows you how to install the application, the platforms, all the different adapters that we support, and tutorials. Okay. So you can easily get to it by clicking on the help on the top right. So with that, we are getting close to the presentation. If anyone has any questions, we'll be more than happy to field those questions. Okay. Yes, one question is, do we support custom fields? We do have support for custom fields, and the question, standard with the 2.1 API, what we don't have is, as of yet, is support for custom objects, which is going to be supported after Intacct API 3.0 is released. So there's one more question. Let me see. Can you use native SOAP web services with SFTC? Yes, we do have a Salesforce adapter along with our product, so you can buy a Salesforce adapter along with DataBase or Intacct, and that does use the SOAP APIs by Salesforce to communicate, and then you can use our translation engine to move it to Intacct or databases however you want. We have cases where Intacct Max is standard opportunity to invoicing in Salesforce, but if you want to do some complicated ones, like if you had cases and you wanted to create invoices against it or some other time and expense by refactory into Intacct, we should be able to easily do it for you. Okay. The other question is availability. The product is available right now, and you just have to call us, and we can help you get started. You do get 30 days free trial, and during that period, we do give 1 to 2 hours of free consulting services around it, to making sure your product is installed on your environment and you're able to run a couple of your processes. It's pretty easy to run with it, so you could try it yourself. There's a lot of online documentation, and you should be able to move data back and forth pretty quickly. Okay. Any other questions? You can certainly post your questions on the chat. Okay. For a quick show of hand, what I would like to do is run a quick poll to see what are your projects that you're looking for. If you can quickly click on it, and maybe we can delve a little more on how to go about doing it with our tool or some of the best practices. So some of the challenges, you have CRM, you have building data warehouses, e-commerce, or maybe migration, or other application integrations. So if you can just take a minute of yours and just vote for it. Okay. Okay. Give it a few moments. Looks like a lot of. All right. So most of the folks looks like need data migration capabilities. We can certainly help you with it, be it JD Edwards or QuickBooks or others. You just have to build in those templates, or you can build it and market it. If you're a partner of ISV partner, you can also build some of those. But we also have CSV capabilities to import and export, both ongoing or one time. We are looking into building a QuickBooks to Intacct template where most of the things that is done by CSV files can be done by a push of a button. The second highest is other application integration. If you can send us an email with what other applications you're looking for to integrate with, we'll be very much interested in seeing how we can resolve those. If any of your other applications requires a database, then we can easily do it now. It's pretty easy to do it. But if there's some way closed-in systems, then we'll have to work with you. So if you can send us an email at sales@mydbsync.com, we will certainly respond back with what is the right thing way to approach it. I guess the third one is CRM and Intacct Integration. We do have Salesforce to Intacct Integration capabilities, and in 2 months' time, we will be launching a Microsoft CRM to Intacct Integration capabilities. If you're looking for any other integration capabilities, then do let us know, and we will certainly help you out with that. Okay. Great. So it looks like there are no more questions. With that, we would like to thank you all again for joining us today, and hopefully we'll hear back from you guys, and look forward to you all testing our application and trying it out. With that, thank you everyone, and hope to talk to you all soon.